As a candidate, they can be confident that I'm somebody who's going to champion their issues. For instance, Trenton High, the Martin Luther King School, when contaminated soil was brought onto that construction site and put on ground where our children were going to have to go to school and possibly be exposed to contaminated soils in their schoolhouse, that was just wrong. That's diabolical. Right. It contaminated the people's homes that lived around there, and that was just wrong. And many people told me, Algie, go sit down somewhere, the school's halfway built, you'll never stop this, the powers that be said they're going to build this. I said, you go tell the powers that be, they better not get caught on the wrong side of history. We're going to fight this thing because I am not going to see our children possibly get harmed by going to school in their own neighborhoods. They're innocent victims here. And some greedy person, because they didn't dispose of the soil correctly, why'd they bring it and dump it on us? That's an interesting question. They built another school not a half mile away, no problem. But they brought it to our neighborhood and dumped it. And I know why. They thought we wouldn't do anything about it or couldn't do anything about it. But they didn't count on people like myself and the people in that community. I don't want to take all the credit here. I didn't do it alone, of course. It was the community itself. It was other groups, PTA, the Downey Page, Community in Action, and other people who were concerned to join with us. The part I'll say is that I helped organize that, and I was a spokesperson for that. And we put together a petition drive again. You know, I used the rights that the people had to petition its government, the school board, the freeholder board, the city council, the legislative aides.
The process.
I took it through the process and finally had Governor Corzine sign an executive order to have that soil removed. Now that cost millions of dollars. $27 million had been spent on that school that had been constructed that far. It cost another $15 million to clean up the site. And then they had to spend another $58 million to build the school over again. But today, it's a wonderful school. They've got a television studio in it, all kind of wonderful classes, auditorium. It's a beautiful school. And what happened, that started engaging a more fundamental right, other than just the sale itself. It was the people's right to petition their government. That's a fundamental right. That's in the Bill of Rights. That's the First Amendment of the Constitution. A people's right to petition their government. Now that was what was at stake here. A people's right, the voters' right to petition their government. And they thought I would quit. They don't know me very well. I don't quit. If you have to beat me, I don't quit. So when we lost in the lower courts, we kept appealing, and they thought they would drain our money, and they did to a large extent. We knew it was right. And people came in to help us, and we got some national attention, in fact, from the Food and Water Watch in Washington, D.C. And we stayed in there. We just kept fighting, because we knew we were right. And if we gave up, what would be lost? Well, the people of Trenton's right to petition their government, so we couldn't quit. So we stayed in there and we won. And I find that if you're right and you hang in there, you win, because God hates ugly. The city of Trenton's budget is a mess. Now, because we did not want to see one of our money-making assets, our water company makes money for the city of Trenton. It brings in between $5 and $7 million a year. And other than our property taxes, that's how the city of Trenton makes money. It makes money off of parking meters and stuff like that, but that's changed compared to the money that comes in the water system. Now they want to sell off 60% of the infrastructure that's out in the suburbs. And what business can survive if you get rid of 60% of your customers? Of course that's going to cripple it. And all of it would be then on the city of Trenton. Well, the people managing the budget tried to say that because we didn't want to see them do that, this put a hole in the budget. Well, of course it did. I looked at the budget. There's places where the budget could have been cut. In fact, they had to do it when we went to court. By the way, the Bible says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and those who speak against you themselves shall be scorned. Now, the fact that they took us to court held up the sale. And so by using that against us, they ended up stopping themselves. The weapon turned out to be a boomerang. because they couldn't use the proceeds from that sale, they had to go back and cut their budget anyway. So they did that. And so after all the talk about it couldn't be done, they ended up doing it. And that's the kind of kindness you're talking about. Algie, go sit down somewhere. Ain't nothing you can do. Well, I'm not going to quit, particularly when I'm working on behalf of the people. I'm going to be your advocate. I'm going to speak up for you, and I'm going to protect your interests. I don't get anything out of it other than the satisfaction of knowing when I lay my head down to write at night that I'm doing the right thing, and I sleep like a baby.